An entire village, men, women, children, simply disappeared. Houses intact. Food on the table. Candles still lit. No bodies. No clues. No screams in the night. Just silence. To this day, no one can explain what happened in the winter of 1959, deep in the Ural Mountains of Russia, to a place that should never have been forgotten. This is the story of Anjikuni Lake. No, wait. This is the story of Hoar Verde. No. This is the story of a place that defies logic. A mystery so profound that even after decades, investigators walk away shaking their heads. Because on one frozen morning, search parties arrived to find an entire community erased from existence, as if the earth itself had swallowed them whole. What you're about to hear will challenge everything you believe about disappearance, about survival, about the fragility of human life in the face of the unknown. Stay with me. Because this story changes people. It started with a feeling. November 1930. A trapper named Joe LaBelle was crossing through the remote wilderness of northern Canada, near Anjikuni Lake. He'd passed through this area many times before. He knew the Inuit village that sat on the shore, roughly 30 people, maybe more. They'd always welcomed him. Warm fires. The smell of fish cooking. Children laughing. But this time, silence. Joe approached slowly. Something felt wrong. The dogs, always the dogs, barked when strangers came. But there was nothing. Just the wind scraping across frozen ground. He walked into the village. Every single house was empty. But here's what made his blood run cold: the fires were still smoldering. Food was laid out, half-eaten. Kayaks were tied to the shore. Rifles, precious, irreplaceable tools, leaning against doorways. No one leaves their rifles behind. Not out here. Not where survival depends on them. Joe's hands trembled as he moved from home to home. In one, a pot of stew sat over a fire long since burned to ash. In another, animal hide stretched on frames, half-prepared, abandoned mid-task. And then he found the graves. The community burial site had been opened. Emptied. According to reports, the bodies that had been laid to rest were gone. Joe LaBelle fled. He reported it to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and search parties were dispatched immediately. They found exactly what Joe described. An entire village. Vanished. Without a trace. No tracks leading away into the snow. No signs of struggle. No blood. No bodies. Just the hollow echo of a life interrupted mid-breath. The official report filed the case as unsolved. And there it sits. To this day. So what happened? Over the years, theories have emerged, some rational, some less so. Theory 1, mass migration. Perhaps the entire village, for reasons unknown, decided to leave together. But why leave everything behind? Why take bodies from graves? And where did they go? Search parties covered hundreds of miles. Not a single person from that village was ever found. Not one. Theory 2, disease or famine. But there was food. There were supplies. And diseases don't make people disappear, they leave bodies. Lots of them. Theory 3, abduction. By whom? There were no rival groups reported in the area. No evidence of raids. No reason for anyone to take an entire village, and no one who could do so without leaving tracks in fresh snow. And then, there are the whispers. The old stories the Inuit elders told around fires. Stories of the Tornit, wild, ancient beings who lived in the mountains and took people who wandered too far. Stories of lights in the sky. Of strange sounds that made the dogs go silent. Joe LaBelle himself reported something he couldn't explain, a faint, blue glow hovering over the tree line the night before he found the village empty. Was it imagination? Trauma? Or something else? Here's the thing about mysteries like this. We want answers. We need them. Our brains are wired to find patterns, to solve puzzles, to make sense of chaos. But what happens when there is no answer? What happens when an entire group of human beings just stops existing, and the world moves on as if they never were? I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine you're in that village. It's evening. The sun has set, and the cold is settling in. You're sitting by the fire with your family. Your child is laughing. Someone is telling a story. The stew is almost ready. You have no idea that in a few hours, you will no longer exist, at least not in any way the world will remember. Because here's the haunting truth of this story, those people didn't just vanish. They were erased. Their names? Unknown. Their faces? Forgotten. Their dreams, fears, loves, losses? Gone. No graves to visit. No monuments. No one to say, they were here. They mattered. And isn't that the deepest fear we carry? Not death itself, but being forgotten. Disappearing so completely that it's as if we never existed at all. This story forces us to confront something uncomfortable, our impermanence. The fragility of memory. How quickly the world closes over the space we once occupied. But it also asks us something else. What do we do with the time we have? If every moment could be our last, and let's be honest, it could, how do we live? What do we hold on to? What do we let go? The people of that village didn't know their time was ending. They lived as if there would be a tomorrow. And maybe that's the point. Maybe faith isn't believing you'll be saved. Maybe it's living fully, even when you don't know what's coming. I don't know what happened to those people. No one does. But I know this. Their story survives. It haunts us. It makes us ask questions. It makes us feel. And maybe that's a kind of immortality. Because here's what I've learned from digging into stories like this, stories of disappearance, survival, mystery. Life is not about having all the answers. It's about showing up anyway. It's about lighting the fire even when the night is cold. It's about loving people even though we'll lose them. It's about building, creating, laughing, fighting, hoping, even in the face of the unknowable. The universe is vast and strange and often cruel. But we are here. Right now. In this moment. And that matters. You matter. The people in that village mattered, not because we know their names, but because they lived. They loved. They survived harsh winters. They told stories. They raised children. They existed. And so do you. Maybe the real mystery isn't what happened to them. Maybe it's what we do with the fact that we're still here. The village that vanished overnight remains one of history's most chilling unsolved mysteries. But it's also a reminder. A reminder that life is precious. Fleeting. Unexplainable. A reminder that we are all, in some way, walking through a world we don't fully understand, hoping for answers, searching for meaning, trying to leave something behind that says, I was here. I mattered. So whatever you're facing today, fear, doubt, loss, uncertainty, know this. You are not forgotten. Your story matters. And as long as you have breath, you have the chance to live it fully. If this story moved you, leave a comment below. Share your thoughts. And if you want more stories that make you think, feel, and see the world differently, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because we're just getting started. What mysteries should we explore next? Comment below.